Dutch Chamber of Commerce hier in Eindhoven. At 10 uur theeterrein kennispoort. I'm a trained lawyer and I work as a business consultant at the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to give you the presentation about starting a business in the Netherlands. These are the sheets. You are from different places, even from Belgium. Now, if you want to start a company in Europe, then the Netherlands is the place to do that. You can do that very quickly. Very quickly. It's done if you're lucky, you can do it in a couple of days. Let's say that this afternoon you would have the idea. You can write your business plan tomorrow, make an appointment on Monday, and if you're lucky, you're on Tuesday, you're already at the Chamber of Commerce with your passport, writing down the registration of your own company. So that can be done very quickly. Also, our tax office is very friendly to you. It will take about 2 weeks to give you the notice, and then you're already in business. And at the moment that you have a registration at the Chamber of Commerce and you have the VAT number, the world is open for you. You can start doing business, not only in the Netherlands, but also on an international scale. The Netherlands is a very small country, so we have a lot of people from outside the country, a lot of options to do business. So let's start with the sheets. Well, first of all, this is an introduction. It says that it's a little bit difficult to start a company, but it's not. If you have some professional skills, if you have an idea about exactly what you want to do, let's say that you are an expat working here for a company. Let's say you have some time left and you have certain skills and you want to make use of these skills. Maybe you want to start exploiting the contacts you have. And let's say that your employer has no problem with that. He says, okay, if you want to do that, I will see that as an extra. That could be the reason for you to start a company. So you can start a company next to your employment contract. Yeah? There are a lot of people starting a company in the Netherlands, and after 5 years, about 50% is still in business. That doesn't mean that they are very unhappy or unlucky, but they simply used the company as a stepping stone in their career. Yeah? So don't be put off by the fact that after 5 years, most of the companies are gone. First of all, if you want to write a business plan, that is of course up to you. If you think you don't need a business plan, that's fine. The Chamber of Commerce does not ask you to give us a business plan. It's simply for you. However, you need a business plan if you want to borrow some money. So opening up an account, that's not a problem, but asking for money from the bank or from any then they will ask you about business plan. The location of the company. Let's say you are renting a small apartment in Eindhoven, and you can register that company on your home address. It may be necessary to ask the landlord or to look into the contract of your lease. Sometimes it's prohibited, but on a normal basis you can use your own home address as the seat of your company. And do we need permits to establish your company? Answer is no. There are some exceptions, but in general, no. There are no permits required to start a company. And what is, of course, is important for the Chamber of Commerce is the fact that you have a Dutch social security number. So a BSN number. Most of you will have a BSN number, so that means registration is not a problem. Staying in the Netherlands and residence in the Netherlands is something which is handled by the IND. That is not up to the Chamber of Commerce. Okay? Let's say you want to start a small shop, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. Running a shop from your home address is not done. even prohibited. If you want to start a shop, you need a place in Eindhoven or wherever, where it's allowed by the city council to open up a business there. So meeting people, selling products has to be done from a location which is agreed to by the city council. It's also nice to be as professional as possible, of course, so you can talk and see your clients on a normal basis. The name of your company. Now let's say if you're a business consultant and you want to use your own name, that is never a problem. Even if your name is Janssen or De Vries, most common names in the Netherlands, you can always use your own personal private name as the name for the company. It is nice to, if you go to our website and you go to Handelsregister, which is called Trade Register, and you have, let's say you have a fantasy name in mind, run it through our search engine to see if you can get any hits. Also Google on that name. Because the reason for that is, let's say that you choose a name which is already taken by someone else. According to the Dutch register, the one with the first registration is always the owner of the name. And he can prohibit you to use that name. So the oldest registration is always coming first. So family name, no problem. If you want to use another name, you want to invent something. And now my colleague Ad will do the legal forms of the company.
When you would like to register a company, there are several possibilities. The most relevant forms are sole trader. That means you are a man or a woman and you'd like to register yourself as a company. That's the most easy form to register. When you are with at least 2 people, you can start a general partnership. That means at least 2 people start under one common name, their company. And the third one is a BV in Dutch, and in English it's called private limited liability company. There are more legal forms, there's foundation, association, but these 3 forms are the most common ones, so I will tell you what the differences are between sole trader, general partnership, and private limited liability company. A sole trader means there's only one owner. You can have personnel, but there's only one owner. One man or one woman is the owner of the company. The owner is liable. There is no difference between private and business things. So you are 100% liable for what you do. You pay income tax. Income tax in Holland is the more you, the higher the profit, the more you pay. So if you have a high profit, you pay a lot of income tax. When you have low profit, you pay less income tax. And what I just said, you can hire personnel. So that is what a sole trader is. 9 of 10 people who start their own business start as a sole trader when they are alone. When they are with at least 2 people, they start a general partnership. So if you would like to start a company and you are with at least 2 people and you use one common name, you can register yourself as a VOF, as a general partnership. Each partner is liable for obligations. When Hans and I start as our own VOF, our own general partnership, Hans is liable for what I do and I'm liable for what Hans does. So it's very good to make a contract. If you don't make a contract, you can get disappointed. So what we advise is make your own contract. A general partnership is the same, yes?
What happens when one of the partners is not in the Netherlands?
What happens when one of the partners is not in the Netherlands? You have to be in the Netherlands to do, if you're not permitted to be registered. It's possible for you to live abroad. We have a lot of VOFs where the venue of the part live, for instance, in Belgium, but they do their work in Holland. So it depends on where you live.
One is here and the other is financial.
But are you active in the VOF? If you live elsewhere? Can you, yes?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. One of them is active here and the other is active.
It's possible, but you have to prove that you are active in the VOF. So it's possible to live elsewhere, but you have to prove that you are active in the general partnership. So it's possible to live abroad.
But not having taxes.
The income you have, you earn it in Holland, so you pay income tax in Holland. The other partner, I think he pays profit in the country where he lives. But you can contact the tax office if you would like to have a clear answer. Yes? Okay. You also have income tax, the same as the sole trader. So if you have a lot of profit, you pay a lot of income tax. And if you have no profit, you pay less income tax. That's a general partnership. General partnership and sole trader are the same. Only the sole trader is one person in charge, and general partnership, at least two people are in charge. The BV is different from the sole trader, it's different from the general partnership. Why? Because you have to go to a notary. There is a site, you go to notaris.nl, the cheapest notary.nl, and you can find where you can register to start up your BV. You are not private liable, so there is a difference. You are only liable for what you do as a businessman or a businesswoman. So you are not liable as a person when you start your own BV. As a sole trader, you are liable, and also as a partner in a general partnership, you are liable, but not if you are a director in a BV, a limited liability company. Another difference is you pay corporation tax. So you pay income tax as a sole trader or as a general partnership, and you pay corporation tax on the profit if you have a BV. And the corporation tax is 20 or 25% on your profit. And if you have income tax, you can pay 50% income tax if you have a high profit. So if you have very high profit, it's better for you to start your BV than to start as a sole trader or as a general partnership. But most of the people don't have a very high profit in the first years, so most of them start as a sole trader or as a partnership, because you have to make a profit of 100,000 euros to make it profitable for you to start your own BV. And most of the people don't reach 100,000 euros profit in their first years. And you can always change your legal form. So most of the people start as a sole trader or start as a general partnership, and they can change after several years into a BV. Some questions, yes?
The 1 cent?
Yeah, you need to put 1 cent in your BV when you start BV. In the past it was 18,000 euros, and now it's more easy, now it's 1 euro cent. So it's very cheap.
It's capital?
That's a capital, that can be the capital of BV, yes.
Okay.
Can you use your CV for invoicing and the people working to make the invoice are abroad? Like you have the team in US making the invoice on the name of the BV here?
That's possible.
I was wondering what is the interaction between the 30% ruling between these company types? As far as I understood, for sole trader and also the second one, you are liable for as a
That's
person.
correct. When you are a sole trader or you are a partner in general partnership, you are also private liable. That means if you have a lot of debts, then you have a problem. But when you have a BV, you don't are liable with the private mode. Capital, you're only with your business capital. So you are more secure when you start a BV. Only when there's mismanagement, then you have a problem. So when you are a director in a BV, and you are there's mismanagement, then you have a problem, then you are also as a person liable. But the difference is, sole trader, personal liable, and within the BV you are not personal liable as director, only by mismanagement.
So in terms of taxes, if we have this 30% ruling as a personal benefit, so does it also affect or reflects to the company that I start?
Yeah, the difference between tax is what I just said, income tax for the sole trader and for the general partnership. And it means if you have a high profit, you have to pay a lot of tax. And with the BV, if you have, for instance, 100,000 euros profit, then it's better for you to pay corporation tax because it's 20%. So you don't pay 50%, and when you have 100,000 profit as a sole trader, you pay the half, you can give to the tax office, 50%, and when you have BV, then you pay 20% on your profit. This is more profitable for you to start with BV, but you have to make a lot of profit, at least 100,000 euros. Otherwise, it's not profitable for you to start your own BV.
Can I make a remark? This is about 30% ruling. It's a tax ruling. It has nothing to do with income tax. It has to do with income tax, but not in this combination. So this really is a question that you should ask the tax office.
Yeah, I guess one thing to point out is that we wanted the tax office to be here, but unfortunately they're not. And so they weren't able to, they not right. Then we had discussion with them to really approach them because we know that you have a lot of questions about taxes, but this is not the tax authority, so it's probably best for people to ask, especially about like the 30% tax facility, the ruling, to call the tax office. Is that right?
Also tell you afterwards some more about taxes, but what Olivia just said, you have to call the tax office. So that's our question. Steph?
Can a BV be owned by a single person?
Yes. Yeah, that's possible.
What are the minimum criteria? Is there a minimum amount of revenue it has to generate per year?
No.
Why do you say that 100K is profitable?
Excuse me?
Why did you say that 100K profitability is better to have for a BV?
100,000. When you have profit, at least 100,000 euros of profit, not a turnover, but profit, then it's better for you to start your own BV than to start as a sole trader or as a general partnership.
Does it mean that less than 100,000 profitability is not good for BV?
Yes, it's good for BV, but you have 100,000 profit, then you can, and you pay corporation tax, that's 20%. It's better to pay 20% on your profit than to pay 50% on your profit.
What if you start a BV, but you don't earn the 100,000 profit in the first year?
Then it's better for you to start as a sole trader or start as a general partnership because you have some deductions. I'll also tell you later on in the presentation. Yes? When you know what legal form you would like to register, go to the Chamber of Commerce and we can register you and you go to the register. And the registration is compulsory. You don't have a choice. So if you have your own company, you have to register your company at the Chamber of Commerce. You have to identify yourself. First you fill in the forms at home, you send them to us, make an appointment at one of our offices, you come to the Chamber of Commerce, you identify yourself, and within 15 minutes, 20 minutes I suppose, you are registered. You will receive your KVK number and you will receive your VAT number. And your VAT number is for sole trader, your PSN number. So if you would like to register yourself as a sole trader, your VAT number is your PSN number with NL front and B01 at the end. It costs you €50 to register as a sole trader, or as a general partnership, or as a BV. You only pay €50 to the Chamber of Commerce. You can get an extract if you would like. An extract you can use to prove that you are registered at the Chamber of Commerce. We also ask for a rental contract if you are living at address number A and your company is at address number B. Then we would like to see a rental contract where your business is registered. When you have a franchise, you would like to also see the franchise contract. For instance, part. You will receive the VAT number and you can register yourself 1 week before you start. So when you start 1st of January, most of the people start 1st of January, because that's a beautiful day to start. We can register you 1 week before the 1st of January, the last week of December. It's very busy at the Chamber of Commerce because most of the people, like you said, start 1st of January. So we can register you 1 week before you start. You can start when you want. Do you start the 7th of January? We can register you 1st of January. So 1 week before you start your business.
Excuse me, you mentioned that most of the people start around 1st of January. Does it matter at all when you start the company?
Now you can choose your own date. It's your own. It's up to you. You can start now, today. You can start Monday.
Is there a reason people choose 1st of January?
That could be a reason because if you have some tax deductions, you have to make some hours in a calendar year. And if you also tell you when you make 1,225 hours in a year, you will receive some tax deductions. And when you start 1st of January, it's more easy for you to reach that kind of hours than when you start the half the 1st of July or 1st of August. So it's easier for you to make the hours in 1 year, which starts the 1st of January, than when you start later on in the year. That can be a reason that people start the 1st of January, to make it easy to make your hours.
We don't have physical
Can you use your home address where you live? Yeah, what Antje said, you have to check the zoning plan, but when you do not do anything at your home address, then it's not a problem. So you can use, most of the people use their home address when you are mobile, when you are digital, or things. It's not a problem. You will use your home address.
Can I register a company if I do not have a Dutch address?
We only can register you when you are a company in the Netherlands. So if you live not in the Netherlands, so you live in Belgium, you have to register in Belgium. Because there is your address of your company, so you cannot register in Holland. And so you have to address here in the Netherlands to register yourself here in the Netherlands. There are a lot of Dutch people who are emigrating to another country, and they would like to register here in Holland because it's here very easy to register yourself.
Yes.
Abroad it's very difficult to register. So yeah, very easy to register, but you have to have an address to the Netherlands. Yes.
Can the company have partners from multiple countries, like one from EU, other from non-EU?
Partners in the VOF, in the general partnership, or yeah, that's possible. It's not a problem. With partners all over the world, they can be directed in a BV. Yes.
And they don't have to be having an address. Everyone doesn't have to be in the Netherlands.
The BV has an address, needs an address in the Holland, but let people live, it can be all over the world. Yes? Okay. You need it? Yes. You can choose your own date. That's correct. You can decide whenever you start. Yes? And it's also possible. Most people start, whether you said general as a software, as a general partnership, or as a BV. Less people start an NV, and they Schiphol or Dutch Railway. But you can also start NV. You have to make contact with notary, because it's also notary who establishes the NV. He can tell you everything about it. It's also possible to start your own NV. Yes? Yes, yes. No, you can use PO box for your correspondence, but you need an address in Holland, and you cannot use only a PO box. So you can use PO box for your post, but you also have to use a physical address. Yes. Yeah, you have to check the zoning plan. It's possible, but you have to check the zoning plan. Bestemmingsplan, zoning plan is called. You have to make contact with the town hall, the municipality. You can ask if it's possible to start a certain something on your address. That's correct, yes. You have to ask permission to the town hall, that's it, yes. According to the zoning plan.
For every kind of company?
That's correct. You pay only €50 if you would start your own business. So sole trader, general partnership, BV, because the only thing is when you start a BV, you have to pay also you have to pay the notary. But this amount is for the Chamber of Commerce, €50. Yes. How many? Oh, that is unlimited. You can hire as much person as you want. Yes? Would you like to start a business? Bridges? Yes, you have to make contact with the Dutch called curator. So now, you know what it is, Hans, in English, curator?
Curator or
It's a liquidator.
Liquidator. And in Dutch we call it curator. I don't know what the English name is for, but that's also possible. The name is known at the Chamber of Commerce. If you have a business which is bankrupt, you can contact the Chamber of Commerce. You can see who is the public officer, we call it curator. You can contact him. Yes? That's correct. That's correct. Yes. Yeah? Now it becomes interesting because Hans will tell you how to pay less taxes.
First, let me back up a little bit. I want to go back to your question about the general partnership. Can that person be abroad? Of course. But the general partnership is registered in the Netherlands, so they have to file taxes. So the total income of the general partnership has to be declared as taxes in the Netherlands. It is possible that one party, because he lives abroad, that the profit is transferred to that country, and he's paying his taxes there. Additional taxes. So the partnership is registered in the Netherlands, you have to declare profits in the Netherlands. Going back to the zoning plan, you want to be a consultant from your home address. If you have appointments with customers on your home address, and you have about 7 or 8 people coming to your house every day, then it's fine. That's on appointment, and there's no trouble for the neighborhood or traffic jams or anything. Yeah? If you want to do this in meetings with about 50 people, then you're in trouble. Okay? So a business consultant at your home address on appointment basis, no problem. Yeah? You don't need a permission. But if you have groups of people coming, then there's a different story. Going back to the BV, there was a question about the BV. First of all, we're trying to keep this as simple as possible, but if you go into the details, there are 3 reasons to start a limited liability company, a BV in the Netherlands. The first one is you're taking risks. Now let's say you are importing products from China, and the first 3-4 containers, beautiful. And the 5th container, or the 6th container, is a lot of shit, a lot of trouble. If you have to go to China to find the one who filled the container, your business client there, if you want to go to court there, that's a high risk. So if you want to do international business, it is probably better to do that with a limited liability company and not as a sole trader. Because the sole trader is responsible for all the debts of his company. Yeah? And if you have international issues, which you do not completely control, then it's probably better to do that with a BV. Alright? Now a little bit about taxes on BV in general. First of all, a BV pays its own corporate tax. And the corporate tax is 20 or 25%, depending on the amount of profit you're making. But then the profit is inside the BV and it's not in your pocket yet. Okay, if you want to get the profit into your pocket, you're paying another 25%. So the total tax burden of a Dutch BV is 20 plus 25 is about 45, can go up to 50%. That's already very close to what a sole trader is paying. Yeah? That's tax on the BV, all right? Was there another question about yeah?
The income tax, so what is profit in case of a limited liability?
Well, with a limited liability company, profit is, first of all, you have your brutal income minus cost, then it's netto earned, and on what your netto earnings is profit. But there's also the cost of labor was taken out. The salary of the director, of the manager of the company was already taken out. And after that, that's profit, and that's what you're paying taxes on. Okay?
That's for the BV.
That's for the BV.
Sole trader?
And for the sole trader, it's also brutto income minus cost, and then netto earned. And what on netto earned, you're paying, what we have several thresholds. We have a kind of steps in our tax system. The lowest one is 30, then 40, and then 52%. And it will go up progressively. Yeah?
Okay, but if you don't earn anything every month, you pay every month
No.
annually.
No, you're paying annually.
Annually.
So okay. When you start a business, that's the first thing with tax. When you start a business, if you start on the 1st of January, the only thing the tax office will ask you is to declare your VAT statements every 3 months. And VAT is a consumer tax. It's very little to do with your business, because when you register a company, you become part of the Dutch tax system. You have to charge VAT to your customers. And this VAT is transferred to the Dutch government on a 3-month basis for small companies. Okay. Paying taxes starts after a year. So let's say you start on January 1st, 2018. The tax office doesn't bother you about anything. A whole year, completely quiet. So make sure you keep some money in your pocket to pay taxes. In the year 2019, in January, you get a blue envelope. The tax office says, well, what did you earn in 2018? And you declare how much you earned that year. And then, somewhere in May or June, you have to pay taxes. And there's another problem. And the tax office knows, okay, so in 2018 you made so much money, we think that you will do the same thing in the next year. So we'll give you an advance on taxes on what you think, on what the government thinks you will be making the year after. Which I was thought that were very disappointing. Because you're in business, you don't know what you're going to earn, but the tax office is already taxing you on what they think you will earn. That's not so nice. That's not so nice. So now let's go back to the sole trader. what you see on the sheets now is the sole trader. So let's say you're a business consultant and you register the Chamber of Commerce and you have your first clients. Now this is important. The sole trader, we have two types of sole traders. And there is, let's say that you also have an employment contract with a company. Let's say Philips in Eindhoven. And you're working 3 days a week, or 4 days a week at Philips, and you have 1 day left, weekend left for business. If you don't have tax deductions outside, one of the reasons so many people start a sole trader is because they have very nice tax deduction and tax deduction. The first 3 years, you will have 2,000 euros startup deduction, and you will have, if you reach the 1,225 hours per year in your own company, you also have what we call zelfstandige self-employment deduction. That's the English word. The self-employment deduction is 7,200 euros. So what we have is 2,000 euros startup, 7,000 euros zelfstandige aftrek. That together is 9,000 euros. Now let's say the first year you make 20,000 euros of profit. You should be paying taxes on 20,000 euros. But because of these two advantages, you're not paying on the 20,000, but you're paying on 11,000. And that's the big advantage of the sole trader. So you have your profit, your cost, your net profit. You should be paying tax on the net profit, but because you're a startup, you have 3 years, 2,000 euros startup deduction, and 7,200 euros self-employment deduction. And you will keep the self-employment deduction for the whole career of your entrepreneurship, providing you reach the 1,225 hours. I see a question here.
Yeah, my question is about the hours. How are those hours calculated? Are those 24 hours per
And
day
that's-
or like 40 hours per week?
That's the nice thing. You are the one that decides about the hours.
Right.
But there's only one limit. There's one limit. If you also have an employment contract with Philips, and you're working 4 days with Philips, the tax office will not believe you.
But if I don't have any.
And with 3 days, they will have a discussion with you. And with 2.5 days, they won't ask a thing. And let's say you're very good. You only have to work 8 hours a week. And you make a lot of money as a consultant. You're very happy. You're not making all these hours. The rest of the time you're playing hockey or whatever you want to do. So, in fact, if you go back, if you have an employment contract, if it's more than 2.5 days a week, and you have to be careful. After 3 days, you will have a discussion, and after 4 days employment a week with Philips, they will not allow you to use this deduction.
I don't have an employment contract.
If you don't have anything,
I don't have anything.
that means
About
that you,
24
the whole week you're thinking
4
about,
hours a day or
yes, you're ready to work in your company throughout the week. Let's say you want to meditate on Monday. Yeah. On Tuesday, they want to prepare yourself with drinking some wine. It's all up to you. The whole week you are available for your company, and nobody asks you about these hours. You have no other source of income. That means you can get the tax deduction anyway.
these hours
And you're the greatest consultant in the world because 8 hours a week is all you do.
These hours are filed on the 1st of January when I
No, no. They will only ask you for these hours when you have a discussion. On a normal basis, the tax office doesn't ask you a thing. They don't even want to know.
But if you work full week, it's not impossible. It's impossible to get this tax deduction.
Right. So you don't have to register your hours. You only should. I'm not saying. No. They will not. Only when you have a discussion. Because when you are reaching the limit, 2.5 to 3 days. That's the only discussion, that's that from a tax point of view, you have to write down how many hours you make in a day.
But I know people who have the controller from the tax office, and then it's very difficult to suddenly look back and create those hours if you don't have the register.
Right, but if you are at home as a working mom, for instance, and you have the whole week to work on your company, they will not ask you for your hours. This discussion only starts when you also have an employment company.
They automatically give the self-employed deduction.
Right.
They automatically consider it's more than 12.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, you're available the whole week for your company.
Yes.
But if you travel a lot because of your business, then you need to register your hours.
No.
Because then maybe the
No.
time when you stay in Netherlands, it will show that maybe 6 months you were abroad.
No problem. You can even be 6 months abroad if you want to. Sure. That's right. You have accumulation of income. That's correct. So let's say you are working with Philips. You have your income from Philips. At the end of the year, you have a year-end survey of exactly how many taxes were paid and how much money was paid to you. You will have an overview. That's part of your tax submissions to the tax office. And the first one is income from Philips, and the second one will be profit from your enterprise. And they will put it on top, so you're paying quite a lot of tax. But that's part of our system. Tax paying is a national hobby. And degeneration in the Netherlands was horrible because we had a fight with Spain over taxes for 80 years. So the war between the Netherlands and Spain started on the issue of taxes. And these days we're international champion in paying taxes.
But you said there are two types of things. One is employment.
Yes.
Income.
Yes.
But it's not profit, but it's
Income. Yes.
tax. But in case of a company like provider or other thing, you tax on profit.
That's right.
So
But profit is also income.
yeah, but profit is calculated out of operating tax expenses.
That's only that you are using the limited liability company as an example. So the sole trader who also has an employment company, and next to that also a company, then he has two sources of income. And the tax forms also ask where the money is coming from. So you cannot do that. So profit from a sole trader is taxed immediately on profit.
Income is taxed.
Income is taxed, yes. Sure.
I have a question about these hours. Are these your own hours as the
Yes.
owner of the company?
It's your hours. That's right.
And these are the billable hours.
No. No. All the hours you think that are necessary for your company. So it's your decision.
Okay. They could be nominal as well, as long as you can explain it.
If you can explain it, if you have some
Okay.
argument for it. Okay. Yes.
If you go with some approximate numbers, this 1225 hours come to about 8 months of your career.
It's about 2.5 days a week. Okay.
So, what you say is the sole profit
Yes.
is meaningful when we are able to spend, let's say, half of the week.
No. I would take it from the entrepreneurial point of view. First of all, what do you want to do? What will be your business? And if you're importing product from China, like the example I just gave, then you have to be careful if you want to do that as a sole trader. So don't start with taxes. That's the wrong starting point. First, look at what you want to do and choose the vehicle that's most appropriate. sometimes that's a sole trader. Let's say you're a business consultant and you want to see 5 or 6 clients at your home address every day, then sole trader is fine. Her risks are very low. Yeah? But if you're importing from China, 5, 6, 7 containers a week, a lot of money involved, international business. So that's where it starts. And then you look at the taxes, and then you try to choose the way that is most profitable. Yeah, sir. I'm going to give you the microphone. Because everybody is. Yeah. There's no implication. So if you want to continue your employment contract in the first month of the next year, there's no there. They will look at the entire year. Okay, any more questions so far? Sir?
Is it easy to switch from one?
Yes, very easy. Very easy. Now, so a lot of people start with as a sole trader, their business grows. Let's say you want to hire people, and hiring people in the Netherlands is a risky business. Yeah? So if you're looking at 3, 4, 5 employees, start a BV, a limited liability company. Yeah? Yes. Oh, sorry. Sure. They will look at every year. So every year they will look at the amount of numbers you have, hours you have made in your own company.
In the first year, I wanted to my business might not be good. I'm still working full time, and I see that it's successful, and then I decided to quit my job or get another hours.
Yes, you can postpone this decision. The startup deduction from the tax office is you have to use within 5 years. So you will have 3 years, but you have to use it within 5 years. So you have a 5-year time left to use it. And as soon as you meet the requirements of the number of hours, then self-employment deduction, €7,000 stays with you. Okay. Sir.
I want to start a small business, and I'm not expecting too much revenue, maybe 5,000 euro in a year as a profit.
Okay.
In that case, how much I will get?
How much you will be paying in taxes? You'll also have an employment contract?
Maybe my wife is starting, is not working.
Okay.
In that case, how much it would be?
She's not paying, if she works full time in her company, then she's not paying any taxes at all.
And if she's not working, and she just started.
The only thing she does is then run this company, and she has €5,000 of income. She's not paying any taxes at all. I'm sorry. Okay. He has a wife at home, and she wants to start a business. He wants to start a business, and he's asking if she's making €5,000 of profit a year, how much tax will she be paying? Yeah. Right.
After 9,000 I can.
Registration at Chamber of Commerce, that's it. I hope this is clear. Oh, sorry. No. He before that, okay. Of course, as a sole trader, you also have your brutal income, finance expenses. That's wrong. Whatever you regard as expenses, it has to be related towards you to your company. But in general, you are the one that's taking the decision what you regard as expenses.
Or your own salary?
It can be, there is a Dutch Congress for lawyers on Curaçao every year. I mean, very important course. And it's tax deductible. Okay? See, programs, sir.
Yeah, I don't know how it is how far are you along with the presentation, but maybe can we continue with the presentation and leave the questions for later because this is taking time.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Most of it already told. Well, this is a combination of what I just told. So it's starting as an entrepreneur. You have investment deduction, of course. You have small and medium enterprise profit exemption, self-employment deduction, startup deduction. Once again, this is all available on the Dutch website from the tax office. The tax office is also the website in English, same as our KVK, Chamber of Commerce website, also already in English. Again, our website is very informative. There's a lot of information on the website. And if you have special questions, then I'm getting back to exactly what I'm doing in the Chamber of Commerce. I'm a business consultant, and I work in Eindhoven. I get phone calls, emails, chat information, sometimes visits from people, and I work as a little bit of a house doctor. So, and you can ask me whatever problem you have. I'm not saying that I know everything, but from the general point of view, I do get around. So the questions I get is from what type of business should I be starting, legal problems, marriage problems, it's also inflicted, of course, the business, employment contracts, financing, rental problems. That are questions you can simply put to the Chamber of Commerce. So we're not only an institute that does registration of companies, we run a national register, but we also give information through our website, through personal advice, and we also have a number of projects that we have to do with the Dutch government to stimulate our economy. That's in short what the Chamber of Commerce does. We are paid by the Dutch taxpayer, which is a little bit of a gift to the entrepreneurs of the Netherlands. Chamber of Commerce in the Netherlands is now 200 years old. It was set up by Napoleon, so it's a French origin. Most of the chambers that you will find in cities like Eindhoven and the Bosch are now under 70, under 80 years old. We used to be paid by the local companies, and they would also give us directions. So we have a board that supervises the Chamber of Commerce, but that's been put aside since the 1st of January 2014. We are now part of the Dutch government, and we get our instructions from the Ministry of Economic Affairs. But it's a little bit different. It feels a little bit different. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Last question, I don't understand. Yes. Yeah. Well, with a limited liability company, there are two types, maybe even three types of people. First of all, you have the management of the company, you have the shareholders, and you have people who are employed by this limited liability company. There are three types of persons involved with the limited liability company. And the shareholder if someone is employed by a limited liability company, then also that's an employment contract and you pay salary tax. General partnership, yeah. Well, with the general partnership for both entrepreneurs, these numbers are important. So every partner has to make these out because every partner individually declares its taxes. And about importing into the Netherlands, in fact, that's very easy. We have a very open economy. You don't need special permits to bring in products. You can simply buy and trade on a very easy-going basis. What you should look at with importation, let's say from outside the European Union, then you should look at it's a website called Market Access Database. Use MADAU. That will tell you what kind of tariffs the European Union enforces on imports from, let's say, India or China. So all importation duties are driven by the EU. If you want to trade inside Europe, there are no boundaries. You can do whatever you want. Let's say you have a customer in Germany and you want to sell him a container full of goods. You simply ship the container, write the invoice without VAT. Make sure that you have the VAT number of your German customer on the invoice and your own VAT number. You can ship the container with the product to Germany without even paying VAT. So that's very easy. Inside Europe, trade is very easy to do. No limitations. No. If you want to do this the old way, no problem. Simply using paperwork, no problem. I would even say, let's say you're a business consultant, you have 5 customers a day. For your bookkeeping, you need, first of all, the outgoing invoices to your customers. Because she has 5 customers a day as a business consultant. She writes an invoice, she declares the VAT every 3 months, and she has her outgoing invoices, she has her costs, income invoices, and you have your bank statement, and I would also like to see some kind of a history, exactly what you did on which day, and that's fine. That's all you need for a bookkeeping. That's enough. With that, you can run your company. As simple as that. Let's start there. Okay. Foundation would translate into Dutch as a stichting. And a stichting has what we call a higher goal. In Dutch it's called ideeel doel. So you need to have, let's say, a good purpose. And it has to be set up by an open public. It's not as expensive as a limited liability company. It will cost you about between 300 and 500 euros to set up the foundation. You need 3 people running the foundation. You need a chairman, a secretary, and someone handling finances. You can even combine 2 of these positions into one. But the absolute minimum is 2 people. So a higher goal, 2 people, notary public, and that's a foundation. There are no taxes involved. Let's say looking after your family. I'm pushing the envelope here, sorry. But it has to be a higher goal. It has to be something which is for the benefit of the community, of the world, certain groups of people. A foundation can also turn into a company. Because at a certain point, the foundation is doing very well and starts paying its own people and things like that. And the tax office can decide, listen, you tell us this is a foundation, but I think it's a limited liability company, and you should be paying corporate tax. So we have foundations paying corporate tax. So be careful, listen very carefully to know your public, be also clear about how you set up the foundation.
So for clarification, declaring the VAT is different than paying the VAT itself. Do we declare and pay every 3 months, or do we declare every 3 months and pay yearly?
That's a very good question. No, you declare and you have a couple of weeks to pay.
Okay.
So it works like this: January, February, March. In April, you declare VAT for the first quarter. You have a whole month to do that, but before the end of the month of April, you have to declare. You have to declare it, but also have to pay it.
Is there a limitation on the number of companies that a person can?
No.
Is there
There's a limitation in the number of companies. Yeah, that's always right. He's a sole trader. You can only have one sole trading company. Yeah, but you can have many limited liability companies. Nice. Yeah. Yes, but with the general partnership, you have a combined profit, and then it's shared between the two partners. And every single partner has to declare his own taxes. No. VAT is handled by the general partnership, that's correct. So the general partnership pays the VAT. They have a combined bookkeeping in which you decide what the profit will be, and then the profit is divided. But every partner files his own tax statement. No, it's totally separate. Sir.
I have two questions. If I decide to set up,
I'm going to give you the mic. I have two questions.
yes, I have two questions. One is if I decide to set up my own company, at which point of time, and if I need funding for that, at which point of time should I contact which department or which organization? For example, if I have to go to bank, which department should I go and when should I go?
Yeah.
And the second one is once all that is arranged, and if just take an example that I want some export loans to be done from Europe to other parts of the world. So if at all I needed a list of suppliers, so as soon as I register, will the information of the suppliers automatically flow in, or do I have to search for myself and arrange all that myself?
I'll start with the last question. So you have to gather your own information. Nobody's helping you with that. On the other hand, the Dutch Trade Register is a public institute, which is very accessible through the internet. You can find any company there. So within the Netherlands, the information is very readily available. If you look a little bit further into Europe, that it's starting to work at the moment because these registers are connected, and the EU is working on that. But soon you will see that all information on European companies can be found very easily and very accessible. Outside EU, much more complicated. Not every country, for instance, has a registration of all companies. As I say, the United States is also very difficult. So inside Europe, no problem. Inside the Netherlands, perfect. Now, finance. Let's say that you want to talk to a bank. If you call a Dutch bank and you say, I want to get some funding, the first thing they will ask you is, do you have a registration in the Chamber of Commerce? They will not talk to you on your with your business plan with you unless you are registered. I don't think it's very polite, but that's the way they do it. So first register and then start talking about it. And that it doesn't involve much. You can set up a sole trader company very easily and very quickly, and then make an appointment, bring along your business plan, and start talking to a bank.
And do we have a commercial department there where we go to?
I would ask for, depends a little bit on what your strategy is, but if, let's say you live in the Netherlands and you have an employment contract, you have a bank where your salary comes in. That will be the first bank to go to, because they know you. Let's say that you worked 4 or 5 years in the Netherlands and they see that you have some savings and things like that. There's a relationship. So I would start there. And then you will transfer you to the business department. If you're lucky, you even get a real business, a real account manager. And that's where the communication starts. Yeah? If you're looking at small amounts for financing, banks will not be very interested. I still would start talking with them. I would start with the Dutch.
Can you define small?
I can define small between 10,000 and 200,000 euros.
So anything beyond 200,000, they would be interested. Check.
But I wouldn't be that negative. You have to start somewhere. And talking to a bank, it will provide you with information. It will help you define what you want to do. And if the bank's not interested, we have an institution called Credits. That's an institute where they can go up to 250,000 euros. You can present your business plan online, and they're pretty quick. There's only one business on it, so there's a lot of interest. They charge interest between 8, 9, 9.5%, which is very high. Yeah? But that will be the next step. But start with the bank, and maybe even 2 banks. I'll start here and work my way there.
Are there any grant or loan programs like the Chamber of Commerce or like
No, nothing.
governmental organizations?
No. I would, well, in some special cases, if you want to do something special, the place to look for would be an RVO website, and then look on your subject. And if something has to do with environment or international cooperation or things like that, then you will find maybe some help. But in general, no. You're completely on your own. Okay?
If you start a startup and you expect some investments from other people, then this can be sole trader company or you need to be BV?
That is your own choice. If you are a startup, then it would be logical to do that as a sole trader first. But I think when really money is coming in, and the company will very quickly grow into a limited liability company, BV, and maybe probably 2 or 3, maybe 4. So as a starting point, sole trader, fine. But when money actually comes in and you have investors, then you will see that your corporate structure will grow very quickly. Okay? The man who doesn't want the microphone.
I would like to help
Okay, yes. If you want to start a restaurant, it's maybe decided by the local government, the right location. You also need some education. has a very nice website that tells you what you can start. It's very much up to the local city council whether the place you want to start your restaurant, whether there is that matches with the zoning.
Do we need to know Dutch start this whole project? Is there anything? Can we do it all? I was expecting you to do the implications of 30% ruling if we turn into a self-employed. So let's say I'm an employee, I have 30% ruling. If I turn into a self-employed, will I lose the 30% ruling or is there an implication of that?
I don't know.
Let me put that a question. Can the same person be an employee and a director in the company?
Oh yes, yes. There are many groups of licenses. There are so many, it's sometimes even difficult to identify. So there are a number of places to go to. Depends on the subject, and what you need. Technology charges. You have almost every university has its own startup house. Yes, they will leave. They will always look at what you submit as your income. And if there's no income, there's no taxation. No. Not from the tax point of view. Okay? Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Yeah. Oh yes, of course. Well, the bank is much more happy with the sole trader because he has you with everything you have, and if you're married, they're also happy with that. And if you have children with savings, yes, they're much more happy with the sole trader than with the limited liability. They will finance a limited liability, but they will ask you to sign in person for the loan. So that's if you don't have assets, you have to have a very good store. And otherwise you won't get any money. Well, what banks do with the limited liability, they will ask you to sign for the loan also in private or for part of the loan. So let's say your BV, your limited liability company, loans €100,000. The bank said, okay, we're going to do that, but I want coverage from you in person for let's say 50,000. Yeah, that's how it works. That's a little bit different because the tax office and the Chamber of Commerce work together. And if we see a company that has no activities, there's nothing happening, you will get a letter. And they will ask you, are you planning to do anything with it? Otherwise, you should rest. But you can postpone this for, let's say, half a year, maybe a year even, with good arguments. And otherwise, you will be taken off the record. You don't have to pay anything. The company simply is going. Yeah.
declaration of VAT every quarter.
Yes.
Happen via an online tool, or does it have to be via an accountant?
No, you can do that yourself. It's very easy.
Okay.
You go to the website of the tax office, Dutch tax office, www.belastingdienst.nl, and then there's a special bracket where it says login for entrepreneurs, and they will have the first quarter VAT submission already present for you. You can click on that, and they will ask you, do you have anything to declare? Let's say you just started and you did not invoice anything. Nothing happened. And you think, I got nothing to declare. Send it up. It's fine. Also, when you start, and let's say you, before the moment that you start your company, you've made some expenses. You already bought a computer program, which was especially for your company. You can even get VAT back from purchases done up to 1 year before you actually start the company. The official rule is 3 months, but it can be extended for items that can only be used for your company to 1 year. So 1 year expenses, 1 year before you start, you can even get the VAT back from that. And remember, VAT in the Netherlands is 21%. That's a lot of money. Yeah. So, post.
Where can I find like all the information to import the food from outside Europe?
If you want to import food from outside Europe, then I would go to the Food Authority, so the NVWA website, NVWA, and there you can find everything you want to know about food. That's possible, yes. Maria is importing, you are importing food, or are you making Mexican food at home? No. No. If it's prepared at home, that's fine. It may help to look at the Food Authority website. Festivals, but you go to festivals that are already there. So the permits are already arranged by the festival coordinators. So that should be fine. It's fine. I don't see any problem.
So that when I put the address for my business, do I put my own address?
I would do that, yes.
Even if there's not zoning for.
That doesn't matter. You can register at your home address, but the actual activity of selling and meeting clients is done on the festival. So you register at your home address. So
So if it's a festival, the permits are arranged. If it's not a festival, you want to sell around the city in a food truck.
in that case, I would contact the local city council and tell them what you want to do. But usually the organization of the what?
You can't just put the truck anywhere and stuff. So.
Well, you could do that. Not much will happen unless someone starts to complain. And usually it's the competition. So that's where the problem starts. In general, the Dutch government likes to want to let you ride. Just do what you want to do. In general, we even have a name for that. It's called gedogen. That's a Dutch word. It's found in no. That means that there is a rule, but we don't live by the rule, and we close our eyes. That's gedogen. But the problem starts when the competition starts complaining, and it says the city council, you've got to do something about this. This is someone who is there on a little bit of a legal basis, could you please check? That's where the problem usually starts. Yeah? Okay, any more questions? Ma'am?
If I have like a small company, it's a sole trader.
Yes.
Does it make sense to open a business account or bank account which is especially for my business?
That's the main rule. That's how it should be done. So the first thing you do is register the Chamber of Commerce, and then with the uitrengsel, with this registration, you go to a bank and you open up a business account with the bank. It will make your bookkeeping much easier. So it's separated from your private expenses. It's much easier to do the books of the company.
One more question. Again, as a sole trader, if I don't book as an income, let's say for the first year, but I do have expenses, does it have any implications?
No income and expenses. Well, yes. First of all, then you made a loss in the first year, and we have carry back and carry forward of losses, so you can compensate losses in 1 year with future profits. So yes, maintain, keep on keeping records.
Where can I find more information in this relation?
Well, website is Chamber of Commerce. You can talk to an accountant or bookkeeper.
And how do you call this in Dutch?
It's the same. We use a lot of English expressions.
I have a question about this because it's interesting because you start a business bank account which has zero. So you have costs which have to go from some bank account, which is actually it's private. It has to be private. So basically you make a private thing.
Donation to your bank account to make sure the company
Something
starts.
like this. So basically the company can be actually on zero and you cannot actually declare the cost in the first year that is on the company. You make something, actually you can say it's for yourself or something.
Yeah, well, that's right. You simply have a cash problem. But the registration of the cost is still useful.
Right.
I would still use it.
Because, for example, in England, this is quite important. I mean, I had a society and you had costs and you have to declare everything. And you have some funding as well, and you had to be on zero at the end of the year. So it's quite, it's very hard, like, to go in the first year with a minus. I mean, I don't know. You have to think twice before making the cost.
Right, but that's right. You always have to be careful with paying costs. And it's your own money, because you're using your private money to pay for these costs.
Yes. Or you can say you make the cost, you buy it in the first year, but you don't declare it as a cost for the company in the first year. You declare it in the second one.
Okay, but that still relates to the fact you still have to keep record.
Yes, you keep the record, but you declare it when you can have a zero. Because it is your own money, basically. The money comes from...
in future years when you're making money.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you use your own money, the money that comes from your salary to buy something, it's actually initially a private cost.
Right.
Because if you make the...
That is not the case. When she is buying...
But she has zero income.
That doesn't matter. She only has a cash problem, but it's still a corporate expense. It's still a company expense.
But in the bank account, she has zero money. How could she make the cost?
It doesn't matter. She fills the bank account with her personal money.
Well, that's different.
And then she has an invoice in her name or in the name of the company.
Yeah.
Then there are costs which relate to a loss in the first year.
All right.
And this loss can be used.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So. Maybe it's regulated. So it's not as liberal. Yeah, I probably have to Google for that. I don't know. floor. We don't have the kast open. We have a gate in the doors. Of course, if you have a partner in your partnership who has financial problems, that is not good. That is not good. I see general partnership a little bit like a marriage. Yeah. And from the legal point of view, the marriage is also a business contract. And the same goes with the general partnership. So let's say if we have one partner who has money and the other partner has no money. Let's say there is a big debt to the bank. The bank will choose which partner he will select for to get the money back. So it is possible in a general partnership that there's a debt of 100,000 euros that one partner pays the entire debt to the bank. So there is an extra risk involved in the partner with money, because he may end up paying the entire price of the debt, and he only has a reflective impact on his partner. He can sue his partner, but he has no money, and maybe he will never have money. So,
He has a house.
So you should be careful who you select to work with in a general partnership. Yes. And then what goes for marriages also goes for general partnerships. I mean, half of the marriages go down the drain. And with the general partnership, it's a little bit the same. It's a little bit the same. Yeah. Sure. I'm not very fond of insurances. That's my attitude. If you can carry a certain burden or risk yourself, you should do that. Insurance costs money. When it comes down to paying, they are being very difficult to do. Because that's the name of the game. They collect premiums and they don't pay out. They have a lot of lawyers. So be careful. Do the necessary thing. So keep it simple. That's my advice when it comes down to insurance. I'm also very fond of doing things in one place. So if I have a bank, I try to keep my insurance, mortgage, everything at the same spot. Some people say if you're in trouble, then this bank owes you. On the other hand, you also have a very tight relationship with a bank like that. But that depends a little bit on what you are starting from. Ask for advice from someone who's into insurance and don't over-insure. The Netherlands is prone to, we have a lot of insurance. You can insure almost anything, from your personal camera to your holiday and things like that. It's an attitude. Sorry. Yes. Then we're getting into what I call IND problems. That's not my piece of thing. I don't know anything about it.
They would be here legally for the working for an employer or they want to do it.
Right, if we have a service name, so a Dutch number, then it's fine. You can register. It will even help you with IND. own company together with an American. And he was living in New Jersey. He could travel here, he could be a director here, he could take money out of the company, he would even pay less tax than me. So there was no problem to it. And the United States is outside the European Union. So I regard the Netherlands as a very open society where everyone can start a business. And you can even do that from abroad. So you can stay in another country and be the owner of the company. There are almost no limitations for that. So being an entrepreneur, you can be an international citizen and have your company in Netherlands. I don't see any problem.
And if you have any questions about that, you can also send an email to the Expat Center because we can help answer that. Having to deal with permits, and there's also a startup visa that is here in the Netherlands. So if you have any questions about that, send us an email and we will
Maybe I could tell something about when you run into trouble with the company. Yeah. So let's say a sole trader, and I will give you an example of a Dutch bakery. Small Dutch bakery, man and wife, general partnership together. They had growing business. First one bakery, then four, then 2, 3, 4, 5. And the amount of personnel of this bakery was growing up to 18 people. And I collect my bread there every Saturday morning, fresh. And he never mentioned to me, I have a general partnership and 18 employees. If he would have told me that, I didn't know, I didn't even know about exactly how his company was structured. But if he had told me that he had 18 employees and so many locations where he was selling his product, I would have advised him to go to a limited liability company. At least to put his personnel, so the people that work for him, into this limited liability company. He didn't do that. And at a certain point, 2 of these people got ill. And not ill for 2 or 3 weeks, but for months in a row. And he has to continue paying them. According to Dutch law, you have to pay them 2 years. So two persons not working, you still have to pay for them. And for this type of company, that is quite complicated because the margin is not that high. Was very little attention to exactly to the business in general. He had a bad contact with his accountant. Starts work very early in the morning. Works like a dog throughout the day together with this guy. And nobody looked at the structure of the company. Well, he ended up in serious trouble, money trouble. He had just bought a house, a new house. They had 2 children. Well, to make a long story short, he ended up selling all his goods, using his entire capital, and he went bankrupt. And going bankrupt in the Netherlands is something you should always try to prevent, because our bankruptcy system is one of the most difficult in the world. You see, when you go bankrupt in the Netherlands, then a curator is appointed by the court. And this curator only has one job. He's not there to help the entrepreneur, but he's only there to help the people he owes money to. And he starts to sell. And at a certain point, he finds out there is not enough money in this company to pay for all the debts. So he closes down the bankruptcy. And there is still a debt left. And that means, under Dutch law, this bankruptcy can always be reopened. So there's an enormous difference with say, the United States and the UK. But in the Netherlands, these debts will follow you into the grave. And even your children have to be careful when they accept, when you die, your legacy. Dutch banks are one of the best to get their money back. compared to other countries in the European Union, if there are problems with companies, then in general in Europe, banks will get about 30% of their money back. In the Netherlands, it's 50 to 60. So banks have a very important position in the Netherlands. Be careful. So yes, sole trade, very nice. If you're a consultant, it's fine. But as soon as you start taking risks with your company, I would advise to go as quickly as possible towards the PP. If you have financing troubles, try to negotiate with the bank. Try to keep the bank also as your friend as long as possible. And be careful. Under Dutch law, even the savings of your children are not safe. Even the savings of your children. So you have a small sole trader company, you have personnel, you run it in trouble, and the bank will even take the money of your children.
Question about the same story. What would have happened if he converted to a
If he had put his company or part of his company into a limited liability company, then the limited liability company could have gone bankrupt. And that's it. As long as he has submitted his year-end statements, talked to the taxes at the right moment, then he's fine. And then the bankruptcy stops, and there's no reopening of his bankruptcy. But with a personal person, we even have a book in our national history about this subject. There are cases in which a bankruptcy is reopened 4 or 5 times. So as soon as you see someone who owes money to you, you see he's driving around in a new car. So that's something you have to be careful about. Okay? Okay, I'm not getting some notes here that I'm reaching the end of the.
I have a question about the same day situation. What would happen if this same person have hired this person hypothetically from Randstad?
That would be different. That would be a much better situation, of course. Because you're hiring someone from Randstad, and he's ill, and he's someone else. And then the problem is transferred to Randstad. And Randstad has no problem. Because they're doing extremely well. No, that's not possible. Okay, there's a bankruptcy. You can always go to the Dutch name is curator. You can visit him and say, I want to buy the business. He will be very happy with it. You have to pay, of course, but he will be very happy. No, you simply pay. And that can be very low. Let's say it's a restaurant in Eindhoven, they went bankrupt. Maybe because of personnel issues. And you could have a bar. €1. You have to think about the curator. He also needs some money. Okay? I want to start my presentation. I have some business cards here. You have to listen to my story. I'm going to promise you, if you run into trouble, you can always send me an email. Take my business card, and I hope you enjoy the Netherlands, and hopefully you will do good business. Okay? Take care.